Hey guys, welcome to On the Beat weekly podcast. On the Beat is all about giving young people a voice. We explore all the interesting topics that affect us in the world today. So come, listen, enjoy, and be inspired.
And welcome everyone to On the Beat podcast. Today we are doing a new topic, a new conversation, something to have you thinking. So we're going to be talking about third world countries.
Yep.
And just a reminder, I am Alexia, and this is my co-host, Brian.
What's up?
No last name needed.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So let's get right into the conversation. So when thinking about third world countries, right, what is like the first thing that comes to mind? What is your first thought? Because I know when I hear it, I feel like people who get like the scraps of everything, who had a struggle to get into a place where they could be self-sustainable. So what you just think? Like, what's cross your mind?
My whole life I hearing about third world countries and assumed Trinidad is a part of it. And so what has crossed our minds is just like you, we either undeveloped, we don't have the first class or quality, I should say, the quality of life is under par compared to the quality of lives in other countries, well, the so-called first world countries, right? So I think the quality of the cars that they drive, the quality of the places that they live, the quality of jobs or education and them kind of stuff, so, and even products, right? It may get certain products, it may not get it in a third world country, but they will get it in a first world country. Even Netflix, I saw it in Netflix. I remember when I went away and in one of the first world countries, and I put on my Netflix, I getting more shows.
Yeah.
Or if it was
not only that, more black based shows too.
Yeah. And even when if it was watching a series in Trinidad and the series at end, when they go in a first world country, it's saying, wait, it has another season. Yeah. So like the difference right there.
Like I had to realize that as well. Like I was like, wait now, how Trinidad are mainly black populated, people of color country, only have like more white based movies and the most like you see more African movies than American black movies.
Yeah. Well, remember too, some third world countries tend to, because they want to move up in life, they try to follow the patterns or mimic the first world countries. So they link with all the first world movies or series and them kind of stuff. So it will just go according to even the dress code, would be like it. The governance would be like it. Yeah.
Because I mean, when I watch in clothes, I doesn't go and see what Trinidadians is wear. I just like I watch and see what the Americans is wear, how their wardrobe does look, how the girls does look, how they dress. It's true. So we're talking about third world countries, right? But when you think about all the worlds of countries, yes, here, first world, third world, how is third world without the second world? So where the second world is really go? Like in this TV series, right? I'm not sure if it's entirely new to Netflix or if I just new to watching it, but is Snowpiercer. And like it's the same thing. Like it's a long train of 1,000. Yeah. 1,001 cars long.
Yeah.
They say that every episode. They mention that every episode, so you can't forget. So it's like this long train that always moving because they're like in the whole world in an ice age. And I guess you could say that.
It's like the end of times basically.
Yeah. So the train split up into different classes. So first class, second class, and third class.
And third class is detail. Yeah, for real. I forget detail. Detail is the famous one.
Yeah. And like throughout the whole series, it only had us one girl this one woman from second class. Like I hardly hear anything about second class. I just hear the third class people wanting to get into second class, but like you doesn't really hear much. What second class? What niceties second class have in it? Like third class had the night car, and like first class
You
have all
remember?
the.
You remember it's almost similar like the middle child kind of thing. You know, you don't really hear about the
Oh,
middle child, it's hear about the last child, the first child, but not the middle child really. Yeah. I don't know.
it
I don't
all
know.
depends. I am a middle child still. You just
It,
hear about me all the time.
well, well, your mouth big, so they must hear about you. Oh gosh. Jeez.
Oh my goodness, that's
I mean, big in a good way, that kind of thing. But
yes, I am boisterous and bold. Nothing wrong with that.
mm, mm.
Right, right. Anyway, so my point is, how come we doesn't really hear about the second class? Like, what
Well,
is
here,
even a second class country?
okay, let me define the classes for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Initially, originally, they started classifying countries based on the Cold War. So after the Cold War, the so-called Cold War, it had um, countries who were uniting with other countries, right? Teaming up with other countries and so on. So if you didn't go according to the Western standards or the Eastern standards, and you only want to go according to your own standard, meaning like, for example, if you go in school and
Right.
the school, it have a group there who hanging out there, it have a group there who hanging out there, but you don't want to hang out with neither group. You want to stay by yourself, right? You are considered a third world person, right? Because they highlighted communist governments, right? Or communist countries. All the communist countries back then were considered a third world country. So even
Mm.
countries like China, which is like should be first
Huge.
world today, right?
Correct.
Are considered a third world country because they are communists. Russia is considered a third world country because they are communists. So that's the
Wow.
definition of first world, second world, and third world, right? It depends on who is siding with, right?
Oh,
Um, but
I don't
into
never guess that.
exactly
Like I
like
just thought it was like the amount of resources you have that would classify you. Like how Trinidad smaller,
yeah,
we most likely will have less resources,
yeah.
so that we a third world country.
Well, the thing is, in not wrong, back then, originally, it's all about the war, who is side
Right.
with, right? Now, and also, yeah, back then also, it was all about how you run your country, if you want to go according to whoever, right? But now,
Mm.
in today's modern day so-called first world, third world, right? Second world, don't forget the second world countries. Um, it's all about based on the economy. It could based on human development as well. So the economy is all about, yeah, if a underdeveloped poor, right? Poor countries.
Right.
Um, the poverty basically level. Um, it could be based on human development, meaning their education level or the income of life or the expectancy of life, right? So that's how it is classed in today's society. So it kind of evolved from the original definition of the classes.
I
So
see.
if we could guess some the countries that are in second world could be those who are developing but not underdeveloped, those
Right.
who are financially stable but not totally wealthy.
Wealthy.
It's
Right.
almost like it could remember in citizens as well. It have classes as well,
That
right?
is true. That
Um,
is so true.
in the first world countries, they are considered the wealthy, which is the first
Mm-hmm.
class. It's
Right.
the second class is considered. I can't remember what is the name
Like
of it.
that and second class is like when you oh gosh, what is the name of it for you?
I
Like
can't remember, but I know there's a class called the working class. It could
Yeah,
be the
that would be
third
like the
class.
last because I
Yeah,
feel like that's
yeah,
third world. Like
yeah.
third.
Third class in the citizens.
Second class is not middle class.
Yeah, middle
Okay.
class. Yeah,
Right, middle
yeah,
class.
it is middle class.
Right,
Yeah.
middle.
So, so it's the first class, middle class, working
And
class.
working class.
Yeah,
And third world would be considered the working class. I
yeah.
mean, they
No.
are working to improve themselves, so I
Mm-hmm.
could see it. I could see that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm straying away from the second class now because that is not really what we want to talk about too much. what are the disadvantages that you see third world countries facing? Personally, I will say like using COVID as the example,
Mhm.
right? Like I mean, it have advantages and disadvantages, right? So I'm using COVID as both. So
Yeah.
one advantage would be that it didn't reach in the island as fast as it reached around the world. Like I don't find it like when it happened in 2019, it didn't reach until late 2019.
Yeah.
No, it was 2020,
No, I think the
2019.
breakout happened in 2019, November, around there, right?
Right. So that means we
And
get like 2020 in March.
2020. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that was that was a good thing because we always end up getting things last, which is really advantage and disadvantage because what we now getting like the vaccines and things
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So that is one thing that I find is could be advantage and disadvantage to all of us. What you think is like advantage and disadvantage?
A disadvantage could be that you could be one of the wealthiest, meaning your resources,
Okay.
wealthiest land in the world. For example, on the list of third world countries, according to the listing of the original listing of classes, which is by communist government and them kind of stuff, Congo is considered a third world country, whether it's by economy wise or human development or how it is run. However, Congo is a rich land, right, that have natural resources. But
Much
however,
like Trinidad.
exactly, but the
Mm,
first world countries use or highlight where the natural resources are, and they would come into the country to operate or take hold or take claim of those natural resources. And even though they're going through the normal system of a foreign company coming into your land, technically they getting most of the profit and giving you just the dregs, right? So the disadvantage we're trying to say is that because our education system is low, somehow technically we are not smart enough to take advantage of our own natural resources, and we rely on people who is ahead of the game to come and show us how it is run, but they could take advantage of that. And we have
right.
seen that over the years of development throughout all the countries. So the disadvantage, so that is a disadvantage in not aware, in not full of knowledge. You understand?
Yeah.
Our advantage is that I think it's similar to what you said. If there is a effect, or our advantage is like if there is a war, a world war breakout, right?
Right.
For example, the last world war happened. It happened amongst the so-called first world countries.
Yeah.
And the third world or second world countries were used as a hideout or refuge. You understand?
Right.
But the
Yeah.
destruction is happening against the first world countries. So last
That's
time,
true.
so long time ago, Trinidad and Tobago were used as a refuge, but there was no destruction to Trinidad and Tobago, right? So that is a big advantage right there.
Yeah, it is. And like your disadvantage that I was talking about, it kind of similar to, well, I think like the disadvantage could be built up for the next question, which is what we could do as a country to like catch up to the other classes of the world. Like
But
what
yeah,
we could do. Because Well, I believe we are a third world country as far as I know, because I don't know anything else. That's what I believe, right? So how we can reach the second world or even first world? But
Well,
after I explain the Cold War thing,
yeah.
I don't know how that exactly possible. But what do you think?
Well, if we go according to the modern day definition of first world, third world, second world, well, I've seen it all out. The definition of classes, right? The modern day definition. We can develop firstly by culture change. Well, not culture change, but mindset change, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah, the
Change,
same mindset
yeah,
because
mindset change.
as a country, we are our culture and our heritage.
Yes,
We can't,
yes. You have to keep that, right?
yeah,
But
we have to keep
the
it.
mindset change is what have to be developed, and not just be developed, but you have to be willing. Each citizen have to be willing or develop um that type of eagerness to go after
Yeah.
excellence, to go after success. You understand?
Correct.
For example, if you watch how the students, the young people learn in Japan, if they get a B, they're feeling like they want to take suicide, right? They're feeling like, hey, something wrong. But if we get a B in exams, we are like, okay, we pass.
Correct.
Right? But in the first world, if the gap B is like, oh no, this is
This can do. We need to
it
fix
can
this.
do. We need to fix this.
Right.
So the mindsets of students in high school and tertiary education have to change, meaning they want to aim for 100% and nothing less. The mindset of the parenting aspect as well, they want to aim for a higher end and nothing else, right? So there are various things that could be done, but the mindset for governance as well have to change as well, because you have to think
Of
about the
course.
future. Don't think about now for now,
Present.
yeah, the present, how to fix the
Okay.
present, but think about development for the future.
Correct.
So that those are some of these simple things that we can try to improve
Do
on.
to improve.
Yeah, because when I remember simple thing, when I went to Canada, my close friend, she was late for, well, to she was late for class, right? But to me, she would be on time for
On
class,
time.
right?
Right.
She would be there, she would be there for about a few minutes, like say about 5 minutes before class. So she was super
Unthinkingly.
vexed. She was really vexed that she was 5 minutes in time for class, right? I was like baffled. I was like, why? And their mindset is that you have to be there at least 15 minutes there
15. Yeah.
before time. I understand, to set your mind, to go through whatever notes, to meet and greet or whatever be the case, and so on and things. So, and it doesn't look good if you bounce in class on time or after time, right? But in our culture now, that is not our mindset. Our mindset is get to class on time or after time, never before time.
Like I don't know if I told you this before, but when I used to go to online classes, right? The first few weeks I used to like watch and see how the teachers be in the class. Like if this teacher they start class half an hour or 15 minutes late, I will stroll in half an hour. I mean 15 minutes late, sorry. I'll stroll in 15 minutes late so that I could just go through the class. Or if I know the teacher start on time, I go enter the class early, like 15 minutes early. So it's either 15 before or after. It all depends on the teacher. But if it is really not the teacher, it's more like the students. So it was like students' fault because everybody had a mindset that unlike classes is always start late, so it don't make no sense going in on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, just like how you highlight, if you rely on the teacher to set the pace, the teacher is considered a leader of the group.
Correct.
And if the leader of the group is late, then the group would be automatically be late. But then again, on the flip side, I remember leading the youth group, and I used to always be before time.
On time.
You
Way
understand?
before.
Exactly,
Ridiculously before.
exactly. And even though I was setting the pace or setting the trend or the mindset to be there before time and to make sure everything in place, make sure everything organized, the young people still shoulder in after the time, right?
Yeah.
And so it can't even blame the leader for not trying.
Like let us be real, right? The only thing that our country or citizens of our country would respond to is sanctions. If you know you can't get in trouble for something, you go in and not want to do it.
Yeah,
Like, well, you'll be more inclined not to do it. So if
that's
I
true.
if I is the teacher and I say here now, if all they come in my class late again, don't bother. If all they plan to come in my class late, don't bother coming at all. Or if you're strolling late, just bounce back out. If the teacher say things like that, then we're going and think, oh wow, maybe I should really come to class on time. Instead
Yeah,
of just being a teacher and say, all right, class, we're waiting on everybody else. You give it
yeah,
5 minutes.
yeah.
Like when they hear that, then you're gonna think, oh, so use that kind of teacher who will just, allow them kind of thing. So I could come in 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes late, no problem, cool. I see.
I
Like it's
think
how you interact with people.
true because I think sometimes it could be drastic about it, and
Right.
if you be drastic by not how to say it, boy, not allowing people to come in class, or you lock up the classes. You 5 minutes late, you lock up the class, you gone,
Right.
right? Students come afterwards. What going on here? Why am I 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock or?
Mhm.
But the fact is, you was there on time,
Right.
and it takes guts to do such thing. It takes
But I
guts.
mean, that's what we need then. Because I guess we only, you can say both face or strong minded, strong willed in the face of adversity or things that we think we can't handle, but we still want to try. So if we like that throughout every simple thing in life, then obviously we will become a better people and we would reach higher up in those classes or those classifications in the world. We'll be considered first worlders if we just strive to do those kind of things because I positively first world countries, they weren't afraid at one point in time to say, here now, this is the scene and this is what has to be done. And that's how they get that momentum and everybody, that's their norm. That's their societal norm in the
Yeah,
first world countries. So in
yeah,
our country, as we would see it, okay, 15 minutes late, that is on time. That is we norm. But if we as a country do those things that are bold or courageous, you could say, and say, here now, my class lock in on time, then everybody will get the mindset to be better in the way that at least on time because when they hear Trinidadians think, gosh, I'm gonna be late. Right?
mm. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I went Africa a couple of times, and I was blown away by the mindset. Even though they are considered that African nation, which was Uganda, was considered a third world country. When they saw the mindset of the young people,
Mm-hmm.
it's totally different. It's like they refuse to stay in poverty. They refuse to stay down and struggle. And
Mm.
they are what I would call educated hustlers, I would call them.
Mm.
And they would work tirelessly. They would study tirelessly as well because of the fact that they would Imagine lunchtime, they studying book. Imagine break time, they studying book. Imagine, I remember teaching a class and it was lunchtime. I was like, in my custom, in my culture, once that bell ring for lunchtime, people start getting up and leaving, right? In their culture, once the bell ring, I was like, wait, why y'all are still here? Because one, I didn't dismiss the class, and
Right.
two, they still want to learn. But it's their time to eat.
Eager.
There's their
Right.
time to, but I was like, wow. And yet when they leave the class, they would sit down in the lawn and open a book to study.
Right.
You'll
Because you
not
see,
see that.
they know where they are, as they know what they classified as, you could say. They know where they are. So what better to do than not try to be better for yourself? And by being better for yourself, you'll be better for your nation and your country.
We ask them, why y'all study so hard? Why y'all work so hard? They say poverty. Poverty.
Right.
We can't stay in poverty, you know? And that is the example for all third world countries or second world countries to try to elevate.
Correct.
And you as a person as well, try to elevate yourself.
For real. Because if one person, if you do something for yourself and people see it working for you, they'll say, probably that could work for me too. Because I know everybody like the little follow fashion kind of ways. Even though they don't meant to do it, and the subconscious they're thinking, you know what, I should try that. That look like something that will be good for me too. And just one person, and let's start building upon it. The whole society, the whole nation would be better for it. Well, that's the conversation for today.
True.
I hope you all gathered something, learned something. Yes, I hope you continue to elevate yourself. And see you next week. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell the whole world, and the beat will be back next week.
Thank you for listening to On the Beat podcast. Feel free to share, follow, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay blessed, everyone.